So my 3 points I want to talk about today are you never realize what you have until you've lost it. And the second one is to be a real Christian. Do not take for granted what God has given you. And the third one is surround yourself with uplifting people and friends. Alright, so I'm going to start with a couple of stories about what I went through in middle school. So in 5th grade, I left the public school that I went to in Garrison. And I came to Westminster and I was going to start a new slate, new record. Nothing from my past was going to influence what I was going to have at Westminster. So I was ready for new material, new teachers, new friends. I knew no one here, absolutely no one. So I was going to have to make new friends no matter what. So when I came, I made friends, of course. That's what you do on the first day of school. Hi, my name's Elise. What's your name? What's your favorite color? What do you like to eat? And so I made friends, and I made bonds, and I made clubs and stuff. So we would meet after school, and we'd have Bible meetings, and we'd talk about Christ, and I felt stronger in my relationship with Jesus. But it wasn't necessarily all there. I was acting like a Christian. I would do nice things. I would bring them a gift on their birthday. I would get all their homework when they were sick on the day that they weren't there at school. I would just be a nice person, but I wasn't necessarily a nice Christian. So in 7th grade, I came to school, first day of school again, and they had this thing where you could go to a Bible meeting during school. At lunch, you'd go on a Thursday, and you'd go and you meet a senior, and you'd have this Bible study meeting. And so I would go to that, and it really did bring closeness. And it's where we were talking amongst our friends. And the friends is really what helped. So having friends and surrounding yourself with godly people and thinking about, I'm really lucky. I'm really lucky to be here. I have God. I have friends. I have the amount of stuff that God has given us to be able to talk about Jesus and be able to talk amongst our friends about this and not be persecuted or looked down upon like, she's a Christian. Why is she talking about that stuff? We should be doing something else. But that was during the fall. I was having a stronger relationship. I wasn't all the way to where I understood what was going on in my relationship, but it was there somewhat. In the spring dance, by the way, I do competition dance, and that was just absolutely by the way. Okay, so I do competition dance in the spring and in the fall and in the summer, but it kicks in a lot in the spring. I'm not here on weekends. I go off for competitions. I'm not here for Sunday. I'm not here for church. I'm not here sometimes after school for things. So I began to be in a group of friends outside of school that wasn't necessarily the most uplifting, or by no means was it uplifting. It pushed me down far. It was bad. It was just, there was nothing that we really talked about. We'd go to competitions and we'd say, and we'd like talk, and we'd have friends, but it wasn't necessarily good talking. It was just talking, ooh, I don't like, ooh, that was bad. We weren't good at all. They aren't good. You aren't good. You don't look good enough. And I was always thinking, I need to be better. I need to be better. I'm not good enough at this. But I realized when I came back to school in the 8th grade that in the fall, when I had time to think about what I was doing and what God has given me, and I realized how much I have and how much it really meant, it was so much more uplifting to see people around us. So that made any sense to anybody. The 3 points I want to say is, you never realize what you have until you've lost it. I didn't realize I lost my relationship with God until I realized I lost it last year. So when I came back, I rebuilt it and I strengthened it even more with the friends that I had around me. Second thing, be a real Christian. Do not take the time to fake it. You cannot fake it till you make it. As much as you want to realize, as much as you want to say that on a test, make it till you make it. As much as you want to say it in a game, make it till you make it. It does not work. Trust me. God does not fake it till you make it. You have to be a real Christian. You have to let Him into your heart. You have to be willing to put yourself out there and be a Christian. And my third point is surround yourself with uplifting people and friends. It does not help to be around people who are cool or popular or who have a good sense of style or who can play football the best. It is not helpful. If you want to be a Christian, you have to purge yourself from any of these sinful ways and be a Christian at heart and not just on the outside. So, in conclusion,
So I'm going to talk about a few things that I've learned throughout my middle school, and especially in 8th grade. I've just learned that what goes on around you, you can't control it, but you can control certain things, but you can't control other people. You can't control your parents' mood or how your teachers grade or how much homework you have, but you can submit to your teachers and your parents and have a good attitude. And it just goes a long way in middle school to build good relationships with your teachers. There's a verse in 1 Peter. It says, "Slaves, submit yourselves to your masters with all respect, not only to those who are good and considerate, but also to those who are harsh." I know we aren't slaves and they're not our masters, but it can still apply to our relationship with our teachers. We have to submit to them in all ways and be respectful. Even though we can't control the people around us, we can control our work ethic and how hard we work. And I know for all of us, after a long day at school and then practice or rehearsal, we don't want to go home and do more homework. But we've got to stick it through and just work hard, because hard work is guaranteed success. We have to establish our work ethic early so it can grow stronger throughout our school years. And I know that it's hard for me, especially to go home and do more homework. And sometimes I just want to give up and go to bed because I'm so tired, but that's what I struggle with the most, is just pushing through and just getting all my work done. And my last point is something that's really become evident to me throughout 8th grade year is that my friends, they're in my same classes and they have the same teachers, so they're under the same stress, and you can always talk to them. They can be an encouragement to you. You can pray for each other. There's a verse in Ecclesiastes that says, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up." So I've just noticed that when I talk to my friends, I feel so much better about everything. And even though your friends aren't always there for you, they can fail you because they're human. You always have Jesus Christ to turn to. I know I love just when I'm really frustrated, I just go outside and take a walk and just talk to God, because it makes me feel so much better. After I know that He's listening to me, everything that I say, He knows and He has an answer for me. And there's a verse in Joshua 1. It says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." So I just want to encourage y'all to turn to your friends and turn to the Lord for help when you're in need.
And the words themselves, "get real," are so utterly simple, but the action behind them is much more difficult than you realize. And in reality, guys, it's really hard to get real, and we all know that, especially with others. And I know I have, and I know you all have gossiped to our best friends or guys or someone about someone else, that something else someone did. And I'm not accusing any of you, but we all know it's true. And I've done it too, so. But I'm trying to get real by not doing that anymore. And honestly, wouldn't you agree with me? That'd be really easier to get through middle school and just life if we were all just real with each other, if we were able to get to know each other better and talk to each other without having to be fake or just phony. I don't know. There's a song called "The Struggle" that I really like by Grace Folk, and I think it really applies to this. It says, "Say what you feel, say what you feel. Sometimes it's all that we got, then it's gone. The struggle you are up against makes you what you are." When it says "say what you feel," just let it out and get real with your emotions and words and everybody around you. And finally, it's most important to get real with God, because He loves you and everybody in this room unconditionally, and He's the only person that really understands us fully. And if we can't get real with God, wouldn't you agree with me? That's a lot harder to get real with other people if we can't get real with God. So this is my second one. The second thing is, do not be ashamed of the gospel. And I have a verse, Romans 1:16. For I am not ashamed of the gospel, because it is power of God. It is the power of God that brings salvation to everyone who believes. Okay, this is kind of a lame story, but I have a story. I remember in 6th grade, I wasn't a Christian. Well, at least I didn't act like one. I grew up in the church, but I just didn't care anymore about God or about Jesus, which is really dumb because, but I was actually kind of scared to admit that I was a Christian. Felt like my friends intimidated me, and I never believed that I really was. But one time I was sitting in the library with my friends after school, and we were doing homework, and for some reason I was trying to tell them a Bible story, and it was about Jesus. It was like Jesus with the Pharisees or something like that. And one of my friends interrupted me and told me to stop telling them the Bible story. And I asked them why, and all she said was, "I don't like all that Bible stuff." I realized I should have tried to talk to her about it, and should have tried to tell her about Jesus and everything. But I really just stopped, and I didn't try again. After that, I never really tried again. I realized that wasn't a very good idea. But so I encourage all of you to stand up for Christ when situations like questioning your faith or testing your love for Christ, because God's going to put a lot of tests and trials in your life, not because He doesn't love you, just because He does love you. He wants you to grow in your faith and everything for Jesus. So, yeah.
What I'm talking about today is self-control. And as it says in Titus 2:12, God's grace teaches us to say no to godless ways and sinful longings. We must control ourselves. We must do what is right. We must lead godly lives in today's world. So anyone want to tell me what self-control is? Controlling yourself. That's about as deep as it gets. It's mainly to control. There's different phases on self-control. It's going against your desires. Going against your desires and wants. And most of those self-control is where you're controlling yourself for the good. And so if you're controlling yourself that way, you don't turn bad. Alright? Who has perfect self-control in the Bible? John? Jesus. Once again, perfect example of self-control. This man was beaten, yelled at, screamed at, which no one really likes. And he had no sin. Now just think, when he was on that cross, and he looked down at those people who had flogged him, he could have struck them down and killed himself, but he didn't. Anybody like donuts? Alright, and now y'all know what let's pretend this is cake, okay? For a minute. Okay, just imagine. But it is a sweet. You know what a cakewalk is? A cake does. Okay, let's say you won this box and it's got donuts in it. Can you please, is there donuts?
Yes.
Yeah. And when you won that cake, you could eat it by yourself and glutton and maybe, and it will make you sick. That you can control yourself. Hey, this is a lot of donuts. You can control yourself and keep yourself So as I challenge you, not only to be self-controlled in the classroom, but to be self-controlled in sin, like Jesus.
One, do not give up on yourself, because you can go to the next slide. Yes, okay. So Matthew 11:28 through 30 says, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Yes, I don't know about you guys, but I have an older brother, and in 6th grade and 7th grade, I'd come home and I'd like complain about my homework, and he'd be like, "You're not allowed to complain about your homework, because I have homework too." And so, anyways, there's like a legitimate, I don't know, like middle school is harder than people remember. So, like, I don't know, like it is hard, and you have to make hard decisions. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. You really find out who you are in middle school. So, sometimes in middle school I felt like I was like drowning in homework, or drowning in like my friends don't like me, or I embarrass myself in front of people. But I don't know, like it's just not worth it to give up, because there's a lot of good things waiting for you. Okay, yes. Number 2, be compassionate. That's from my favorite movie. You can go to the next slide. Be gracious to me, O God, according to thy loving kindness, according to the greatness of thy compassion, blot out my transgressions. Psalm 51:1. I wish I was more compassionate in middle school, because like sometimes it's really like easy to judge other people. And in middle school it's like, I mean, one point or another gonna be a little weird in middle school. I know I was really weird. I'm still weird. But like in 6th grade I wore like the same outfit for like 6 months. I just wore jeans and like this one jacket, and like wore my hair in a bun. And everyone, like people were still friends with me. So I mean, you just have to be forgiving and compassionate in middle school, because I mean you can make really cool people. I'm like shaking, sorry. Okay, you can go to the next one. Yes, don't be afraid to fail. This is long, sorry. But he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults and hardships, in persecutions and difficulties, for when I am weak, then I am strong." Yes, I have had lots of times in middle school where I failed a test or lost a friend because of what I said. But there's going to be times where you fail and you just have to get up and keep going, because like sometimes, oh yeah, I have a quote for you. J.K. Rowling, author of Harry Potter, said, "It is impossible to live without failing at something unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you failed by default." So this is like the time to make big mistakes, and like not like don't intentionally like get a white slip or something, but like if you like want to audition for the play, or like try out for the football team, or like do chorus, it's like this is the time for it. So don't like say, "Oh, I'm too good for that," or "I'm not big enough to play football," because like this is where you learn what you're good at. So don't be like, just go for what you want now instead of waiting for later. And you can go to the next one. Don't lose sight. It's kind of dramatic because it doesn't have any pictures, but you can go to the next one. Galatians 6:9 says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." I have lost sight in middle school a lot of times, where I just think like, I don't know, like I just spend all of my day like studying for a test or not studying for a test, and I just never really go back and think, well, like God puts these things in your life for a purpose. And so like, I don't know, there are times when I did year-round swimming, I was so focused on swimming and what I was gonna like eat for practice, and what I was gonna like my goals for certain stuff, and I never thought, well, like should pray, because God's like in control of all that stuff. But yeah, I just lost sight a lot in middle school. Sorry, this is like a really scattered talk, I realize, but it's really easy to lose sight because everything is happening at once, and you're like trying to save your grade while like trying to get your friends not to hate you, while trying to like argue with your parents. I don't know. Just you're like, there's a lot of stuff that you have to do, and it's easy to not think, like just go back and take some time and like pray and ask the Lord to help you. But that's probably the most important thing in middle school, because everything leads back to God, like Galatians 6:9 says. So you just, go back and take a moment and just think, well, God made all this stuff, so yeah, that's basically my talk, so thank you.